Jason stepped off the shuttle, his boots making soft taps against the metal floor of the Interstellar University dock. His eyes were full of wonder. This was his first year studying at Unity Moon campus, a famous university where humans and aliens studied together. The large silver domes of the buildings sparkled under the twin suns. Species of all colors, shapes, and sizes walked by him, some with long tails, others with glowing eyes. It was all so strange and exciting. Jason was just an ordinary human student from Earth. He came to study mechanical engineering. He had always dreamed of building starships. He never imagined he would be doing it in a place like this. After checking in, Jason was handed a small device with his room assignment. He pressed the screen. Showed Room B17. Roommate. Relessa species. Thaleri female. He blinked. Real. What? The officer smiled. One of the top students? It's very serious. Don't touch her stuff. Jason nodded slowly. Got it. Made his way through the winding halls of dorm sector B. The doors looked the same, sleek and silver each, with a glowing nameplate. When he reached room B17, took a deep breath and pressed the button. The door slid open with a soft whoosh. Inside the room was clean and quiet. The lighting was dim, and the air had a soft floral scent. On one side was a desk with sharp tools, glowing data tablets, and a strange crystal. On the other side was an empty bed and an unpacked bag that was Jason's. Sitting on the edge of the other bed was someone, tall. She stood up slowly. Jason's eyes widened. She was about 7 feet tall, with pale violet skin that shimmered slightly in the light. Her silver hair was tied back tightly, and 2 small horns curved above her brows. Her glowing, emerald eyes stared straight at him. I am Relessa, she said, her voice calm but cold. You are my roommate. Jason smiled awkwardly and held out his hand. Hi, I'm Jason. She stared at his hand for a moment, then nodded slightly, not touching it. Jason slowly lowered his hand and walked to his bed. Okay, it's cool. Nice to meet you. For the next few days, life was quiet. Relessa barely spoke. She studied late into the night, practiced strange martial forms in the morning, and only ate once a day, some kind of glowing fruit in dark broth. Jason, on the other hand, listened to music, fixed small gadgets, and watched videos of Earth's old cartoons. They didn't argue. They didn't talk either. Jason sometimes caught her staring at him while he fixed things. Her eyes would narrow, curious, but she never asked questions. One night, Jason returned from the lab and saw Relessa sitting still on her bed. Her hands were clenched tightly, and her skin had a strange pinkish glow. He paused. You okay? She looked up quickly. Fine. He tilted his head. You sure? You look kinda, stressed. She stood. It is none of your concern. Then she stepped into the small private washroom and locked the door behind her. Jason frowned. Something felt off. The next day she was even more quiet. Her eyes glowed brighter. Her fingers twitched. She seemed restless, irritable. That evening, while Jason was adjusting a drone on his desk, he heard a sharp thump. He turned. Relessa was standing against the wall, her breathing heavy. Her chest rose and fell rapidly. She looked like she was trying to fight something inside her. Jason stood. Okay, I'm definitely concerned now. Do I need to call someone? No, she said quickly, almost like a growl. Her pupils were thin slits now. Do not involve anyone. It is my cycle. Jason blinked. Cycle. She took a deep breath. I am Thaleri. Once a year, we enter a phase. It is biological, emotional, physical. We call it cycle. Jason slowly sat back on the edge of his bed. Okay, and what does that mean? She closed her eyes. Our instincts grow stronger. We become sensitive. Touch, smell, emotion, all increased. It is difficult to control. Oh, Jason said, understanding a little more, like a kind of heat. Her eyes snapped open, and she gave a small nod. Yes, but more dangerous. Most of us go into private chambers or stay among our kind. But the university is on. Lockdown? No one leaves. Jason scratched his head. So, you're stuck here? With me, yes, she said, her voice tense. And it will get worse. He looked at her seriously. Do you want me to switch rooms? There are no empty rooms during lockdown. Jason thought for a moment, then stood. Okay, then. I'll just stay out of your way. You can have the room. Be quiet. No music, no tools, no light. She looked at him with surprise. You would do that? Of course, Jason said with a small shrug. We're roommates. Help each other out. For the first time, Relessa's face softened. Thank you, she whispered. That night, Jason slept on the floor in the small hallway just outside the room. He used his backpack as a pillow. It was cold and a bit uncomfortable, but he didn't mind. He could hear her breathing from inside. It was faster than before, but steady. The next morning, he brought her a warm, nutrient drink and left it by her door. She didn't say much, just nodded and whispered grateful. Jason smiled and went off to class, even though his body ached. He didn't know why he cared so much. Maybe it was because she looked so strong, but was clearly fighting something hard. Maybe it was just the right thing to do. Whatever it was, something had changed between them. The silence was no longer cold. It felt like the beginning of understanding. The sun lamps outside the dorm glowed a dull orange, simulating sunset. Inside room B17, the air felt heavy. Jason sat quietly on the floor near the wall, working on a small device in his lap. He hadn't gone back to his bed in 2 nights. Alien roommate, Relessa, had warned him that her cycle was growing stronger each hour. She stayed on her bed, arms wrapped around her knees, staring at nothing. Her usually smooth, shining skin now had a warm glow. Her breathing came in waves sometimes. Soft, sometimes sharp. Jason didn't know what else to do except stay calm and be close if she needed help. He had turned off the lights and only used a dim desk lamp. He avoided loud noises, smells, or fast movements. Suddenly, Relessa spoke. I feel it coming closer, she whispered. Jason looked up. The cycle. She nodded. A fire inside. It starts slow. Then it takes over your mind. You feel every sound, every smell. Even a breath can make your body react. Jason put his tool down. That sounds painful. It is not pain, she said. It is pressure. Like your instincts are screaming at you, telling you to find someone, to bond, to release it. Jason swallowed and looked away. Do you usually have someone with you? Relessa looked at him, her glowing eyes soft but sad. I have always been alone during cycle. No one wants to be near a Thaleri during this time. It's dangerous. You can lose control. Jason gave a small nod. I don't want you to feel alone. Even if I can't understand everything, I'm here. She closed her eyes and said nothing, but her breathing slowed for a moment. Later that night, Jason built something from scraps, a small wristband with a cooling crystal and light pulse generator. He placed it gently on the table beside her bed. It might help regulate your body. Heat and calm your nerves, he said. Just an idea. Relessa looked at it, surprised. Then, slowly, she picked it up and strapped it to her wrist. The crystal glowed faint blue, her shoulders relaxed. Thank you. So said softly. The next 2 days passed with growing tension. The lockdown continued. No one could leave the dorm areas due to the energy storm outside. Most students stayed in their rooms. Messages came through the university system every few hours, saying the situation would be resolved soon. Relessa's condition changed quickly. Her skin glowed brighter. She started pacing the room. Sometimes she would suddenly sit and close her eyes tightly, as if trying to block out her own thoughts. Jason began reading about Thaleri culture in his free time. He learned that the cycle was not just physical-ite, it was emotional. If a Thaleri didn't keep their emotions balanced during the cycle, they could go into a kind of trance where instinct ruled over thought. On the 3rd night, it nearly happened. Jason had fallen asleep sitting up against the wall. He woke to a soft sound footsteps. Relessa stood at the center of the room, her eyes glowing like green fire. Her chest rose and fell rapidly, and her hands were clenched. "Jason," she said, her voice low and shaky. He stood slowly. "Yeah, I cannot hold it anymore." He stepped forward a little. "Okay, just breathe. Talk to me." She shook her head. "I smell your fear. I hear your heartbeat. It makes me want to." She stopped herself. Her whole body trembled. Jason forced himself to speak calmly. "I'm not afraid. I trust you." Rillessa backed away, shaking. "Not? I could hurt you." "No, you won't," he said. "You're stronger than the instinct. I've seen it. You're fighting it." She fell to her knees, breathing hard. "Why do you stay? Why not run? Others always run." Jason knelt beside her, not touching but close. "'Cause you're not a monster. You're someone who needs a friend right now. That's all." Looked at him with wide eyes. Her lips parted slightly in shock. Then she closed her eyes and sat completely still. Minutes passed. Finally, she whispered, "I am still in control. Because of you." The next morning was quiet. Jason slept for the first time on his bed again. Rillessa sat by the window, looking outside at the red storm that raged in the sky. "I almost lost control," she said without turning. Jason sat up, "But you didn't." She nodded. "I remembered your voice. It helped me return to myself." Jason smiled. "Well, I do have a pretty good voice. It's kind of smooth and heroic." Rillessa gave a very small laugh, her first real one. Later that day, she began telling him stories of her people. She spoke of the Thaleri bonding rituals of their star, gardens, their traditions, and how cycle was once a sacred time, full of emotion and connection, not just instinct. But that was long ago, she said. Now it is feared. Many believe it is a weakness, especially among warriors. Jason shook his head. "I think it shows strength. You're fighting a storm inside your body and still standing." She looked at him deeply. "You see things others do not." Jason shrugged. Maybe I just listen." They spent the day like that, talking, laughing a little, and eating. Together, Rillessa tried earth snacks for the first time. She made a face at sour candies, but liked hot chips. At night, Jason added another feature to her wristband, a small heartbeat sensor that beeped if her pulse went too high. "This way, things start to go wrong again, I'll know," he said. She looked at the device and then at him. "You do not fear me," she said. "No," Jason replied. "I respect you." Rillessa lowered her gaze. "You're unlike anyone I have known." Jason smiled, a bit shy. "You're not so bad either." They sat together in silence for a while, just two roommates from different worlds, trapped in a room during a strange and difficult time. Somehow no longer strangers. Something had started to change. Not romantic, not yet, but real. The red energy storm above the campus had not ended. Day and night looked the same under the dark clouds. The lockdown was still active. No one could leave their dorm rooms, but inside room B17, something had changed. Rillessa was calmer now. The cycle was still inside her, burning under her skin. But she wasn't fighting alone anymore. Jason's presence had made a difference. He still avoided loud music or strong smells. He made soft meals and kept lights dim. And every day he added something new to her cooling wristband temperature control. Heartbeat monitor or calming tones. Rillessa wore it always. One evening, Jason returned from the common showers. He stepped into the room, toweled around his neck, hair still wet. Rillessa was standing near the window, eyes closed, breathing deeply. He paused. "Are you meditating?" She opened one eye. "Yes, it helps control the pressure. I imagine myself floating in space. Far from everything." Jason nodded. "That sounds peaceful." She turned to him.
"Would you like to try?"
Jason blinked. "Me. Meditation." She gave a small nod. "You have helped me. Let me help you rest your mind." Jason smiled and sat down across from her. They both closed their eyes. She guided him in slow breaths. In and out. Imagine the stars. Feel the quiet. Let go of noise. Doubted a few minutes, Jason felt something he hadn't felt in days. Peace. Real peace. When he opened his eyes, Relessa was watching him. "Your mind is loud," she said softly. "But kind," Jason chuckled. "That's one way to put it." She tilted her head. "On your world, do you also feel trapped by biology?" Jason thought for a moment. "We do, yeah. Emotions, desires. People try to control them or hide them. Sometimes it gets messy." Relessa looked down. "At least humans can talk about it. On Thaleri worlds, we are told to be silent, even when we suffer." Jason's face softened. "That's not fair." "No," she agreed. "But you listen, without fear or judgment." Jason shrugged. "Maybe I'm just too curious for my own good." Relessa smiled again. Her smiles were still rare, but Jason noticed they were growing more natural around him that night. Something new happened. Jason had gone to sleep early, tired from working on his coursework. Around midnight, he woke up to a soft sound. A hum, not a machine hum, but a song. Relessa was singing. Her voice was deep, slow, and beautiful. The words were in her native language, smooth and echoing like waves on a beach. Jason didn't move. He just listened. The song was full of longing, sadness, hope. When it ended, Jason sat up slowly. "That was amazing," he whispered. "Relessa turned, you heard? Yeah? Is it a Thaleri song?" She nodded. "It is called The Waiting Star. It's about a warrior who goes into the cycle, but has no one to hold her hand. So she sings to the stars instead." Jason looked at her carefully. "Is that how you feel?" She didn't answer right away. Then she said, "Not anymore." The next day, Jason made something special, using parts from his repair kit and a broken projector. Created a holostar dome above their room. When turned on, it filled the ceiling with moving stars just like a night sky. Relessa stood under it in silence. Staring up, "It looks like my home sky," she whispered. Jason smiled. "I thought you'd like it." She turned to him. The voice was soft. "Why do you do all this for me?" Jason paused. "Because I care." She took a step closer. "Do you care because I am your roommate, or because I am me?" Jason swallowed. "Both." Her glowing eyes searched his face. "I've never known someone like you, Jason. You remind me of the sun on cold stone." He blinked. "A compliment, right?" "Yes," she said with a smile. "A big one." They stood close now. The stars above them twinkled gently. The moment stretched, then Relessa slowly backed away. "We must be careful. The cycle still burns. Even a kind word can spark something deeper." Jason nodded. "I understand." But the feelings were real. They both knew it. Later that evening, Relessa started shaking again. The cycle was entering its peak phase. Her skin burned with heat. Her heart pounded fast. The cooling wristband beeped in warning. Her mind was full of voices, instincts calling her to surrender, to act, to let go. Jason quickly helped her lie down and dimmed the room. He placed a soft cloth on her forehead and played the calming tones from her culture, which he had downloaded earlier. She gasped, her body tense. "I can't." "Hold it, you can," Jason said. "You've done it before. This time is stronger." Jason didn't move. "Then I'll be your anchor." She grabbed his wrist suddenly, fingers tight. "I can hear your heartbeat. It calls to me." "Didn't pull away, then listen to it. Let it remind you who you are." Her grip softened. Her breathing slowed. She stared at him, eyes full of glowing fire, and whispered, "You are not just a friend. You are something more." Jason didn't know what to say, but he didn't need to. She closed her eyes and slowly fell asleep. When she woke the next morning, the fire had lessened. The worst of the cycle had passed. She sat up, her body weak, but calm. Jason handed her a warm drink. "You did it." She looked at him with deep gratitude. "We did it." For a moment, neither spoke. Then Relessa reached out and touched his hand gently. "Not out of instinct, but trust. Among my people," she said. "When someone helps you survive the cycle with honor, you call them bond trust. It means chosen." Jason blinked. Chosen. She nodded. Not lover, not mate. Something. Different, stronger, deeper, rare. Jason smiled a little shyly. Then I'm honored. She looked at him. Would you accept it? He held her gaze. Yes, I would. The storm outside still raged. The lockdown hadn't ended, but inside room B-17. The stars on the ceiling shined bright, and two souls once strangers, now, shared something unbreakable. A bond that surprised them both. The energy storm outside still raged, but inside room B-17, a new kind of calm had settled. Jason sat quietly on his bed, staring at the soft glow of the star dome above. It was the 4th day of Relessa's cycle, and the worst was yet to come. Despite the peaceful moments they shared, Jason could see the toll the cycle was taking. Relessa, as usually shining skin now, looked tired and pale. Her emerald eyes had lost some of their sparkle. Suddenly, she shifted in her seat and looked toward Jason. My cycle is entering its peak, she said softly. This is when the strongest urges and emotions come. If I'm not careful, I could lose control. Jason nodded. I'm here for you, whatever you need. She gave a small smile. You are a good friend, Jason. Jason smiled back, but deep inside, he felt a growing worry. The room was quiet except for the soft hum of machines Jason had brought in to help. He had made a small, cocoon-like space near the window, covered with sound-canceling panels and soft lights. This was her resting place during the worst times. Relessa lay inside it now, breathing slowly. Jason watched her closely, ready to help if anything went wrong. Suddenly, her body tensed. She sat up quickly, eyes wide with fear. It's happening, she whispered. Jason moved closer. Tell me what you feel. She shook her head. It is a flood of emotions, anger, fear, desire. It is overwhelming. Jason reached out and gently took her hand. You don't have to face it alone. Her eyes filled with tears. I am ashamed. The instincts are part of me, but they feel like a curse. Jason squeezed her hand. You are not your instincts, or more than that. Relessa looked at him, searching for truth. I believe in you, Jason said simply. For hours, Jason stayed by her side. She alternated between calm and bursts of emotion. Sometimes she cried silently. Sometimes she clenched her fists, fighting the urges. At one point, she leaned against him, her body trembling. Jason held her carefully, not touching her skin, but supporting her. I've never felt this vulnerable. She admitted, vulnerability is strength, Jason said. Showing your true self takes courage. Relessa smiled faintly as the night deepened, her breathing slowed, and the storm in her eyes began to fade. The next morning, Jason woke early to find Relessa sitting by the window. Watching the sky, the energy storm outside was finally clearing. She turned to him and said, The worst has passed. The cycle will soon end. Jason smiled, relief flooding his chest. But something has changed, she added. He looked at her curious. I am no longer afraid of my instincts, she said. Not because they are weaker, but because I have you. Jason's heart quickened. Your kindness gave me strength, she continued. More than any medicine or meditation. Jason shook his head. You gave me strength too. I learned so much about your people, about courage. Relessa, eyes softened. Maybe this cycle is not just about survival, but it is about trust and connection. Jason reached out, taking her hand gently this time. She did not pull away. Over the next few days, the lockdown finally lifted. Students returned to their lives. Rooms emptied, but Jason and Relessa hesitated. Neither wanted to leave the small bubble they had built. One afternoon, Relessa surprised Jason. She invited him to meet her friends' the Larry students who lived nearby. Jason was nervous, but agreed. At the meeting, Relessa proudly introduced him as her cycle keeper, a title given to one who helps a Valerie through their cycle safely. Her friends looked shocked, but respectful. One of them asked, A human? Helping during cycle? Relessa nodded. Yes, he is not afraid. Jason smiled, feeling proud and welcomed. That evening, Rillessa and Jason sat on the rooftop, watching the stars. The campus was quiet. Jason asked, "What happens next?" "When the next cycle comes," Rillessa looked at him with a soft smile. "I hope you will be my roommate again." Jason laughed. "I wouldn't miss it for anything." They sat side by side, two friends from different worlds, stronger for the bond they shared. The galaxy was big and full of wonders. But sometimes, the greatest wonder was simply understanding each other. The lockdown was over. The university was alive again. Students crowded the halls, laughter and chatter filling the air. Jason and Rillessa stood side by side near the entrance of Dorm Sector B for weeks. They had shared a small room, but now the school offered Jason a new single room. "Do you want to move?" Jason asked. Rillessa shook her head. "No, I want to stay with you." Jason smiled. They had come a long way since their first awkward meeting. Word had spread around the university about their unusual friendship. A human and a Thaleri sharing a room during the breeding cycle was unheard of. Some students whispered doubts, others admired their courage. At the next interspecies meeting, Rillessa stood before the council and spoke. "Our bond was never about desire or instinct," she said firmly. "It was about respect and trust. It was about humanity." The council members exchanged surprised looks. Jason felt a quiet pride. One evening, Jason sat in the common room working on a new device. Rillessa joined him, carrying a small plant from her home planet. "It is called a star bloom," she explained. "It only grows with trust and patience." Jason took the plant carefully. "I think it will grow well here." They smiled at each other. Days passed. Their friendship deepened. Jason helped Rillessa prepare for her next cycle. This time with hope, not fear. They talked about the future. Maybe one day. Jason said, "We can help others understand each other better." Rillessa nodded. "Together, we are stronger." One quiet night, under the glow of distant stars, they sat on the rooftop again. Rillessa looked at Jason and said softly, "Thank you for everything." Jason looked back, smiling. "No, thank you for teaching me about courage." The galaxy was vast, full of mysteries. But in that moment, two souls from different worlds had found a new kind of bond, stronger than instincts, stronger than fear, stronger than any star.